Hi, I'm Noel. I'm actually telling you a little bit about my experience at the World Hair Transplant Clinic with Dr. Patrick Mwamba. I'm 2 months out post-op, and I thought that this would probably be a real good video to just explain my experience, and hopefully this is something that's a little helpful to others. Uh, I'll start out by where I had it done. I had it done in Princeton, New Jersey. That's one of his offices. I believe he has an office in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as another office in Brussels. I did my research, looked online. I really wanted to, would actually be my third hair transplant procedure. And I wanted a doctor who specialized in African American hair. When I went online, his name continued to come up. So I read some of the reviews, watched some of his videos on YouTube as well, and seemed very knowledgeable. Explained some of the differences with African American hair, the importance of having a specific skill when you're extracting the hair because of the curvature of the grafts in African American hair, as well as placement, making sure that the placement is correct and follows really the same look that you currently have. Uh, I got there on November 17th. And when I arrived, I met with his staff as well as I met with Dr. Mwamba himself. And we took a look at my existing hairs, and he was really looking over and critiquing my previous transplants, showing me how some of the hairs really didn't follow the same path or guide that my other hairs did. So they were kind of just all over the place. And some of the grafts that were used, especially in like the temporal regions, weren't the correct grafts. But he explained that to me. We agreed on that I was going to have about 1,800 grafts done, just to really fill in this area right here and my crown area. So the day one, the procedure started. It was Dr. Mwamba and his assistant. I forget her name, but she was great. She was awesome. And this was actually the first time that someone like had an assistant that, to me, seemed very knowledgeable as well. So I was able to ask her questions as well as Dr. Mwamba throughout the procedure. And Dr. Mwamba, if you see this or get this, if you could fill in her name, tell her I'm so sorry. I apologize for that. But no, it was definitely a great experience to start out. They asked what I wanted to listen to as far as music. I like a lot of Afrobeat stuff, like Chop Daily. That's on my Instagram. I like listening to it, which was like a pleasant surprise for them. And they actually put me on to some new music that I didn't listen to, like there's some Ghana beats and like different stuff like from Congo, what have you, and it was cool. So listening to music. The procedure starts off, of course, with the anesthesia. Dr. Mwamba is putting in the anesthesia, as well as he did something a little bit different. That maybe it was done in my previous procedure, but it just wasn't explained to me. But in addition to the local anesthesia, he used what was called a nerve blocker. So the nerve blocker pretty much is injected here, and in the lower back portions. And what it does is it essentially stops the sensations of the nerves from feeling above that area. After the first few needles, the first couple needles, I'm not real good with needles, so I felt them. But then after that, the numbing kicks in and you really don't feel anything aside from the pressure. So we started out, I shaved my head to start, which I probably shouldn't have done, so I could let him see like my full head of hair and what it looks like beforehand when it's grown out. But he was able to use like the magnifying glasses and everything else and kind of figure out what my density was throughout my hair and show me that as well. So he's outlined his plan. He let me know what my density was like per square centimeter in certain areas and what he was setting out to do as far as density was concerned, and how I should really expect that to look, which I really appreciated. The procedure started out after the anesthesia and everything was put in. Then they started with the extraction. So they were just taking out from my donor area all throughout. He also explained to me how he was going to do that as far as the spacing was concerned to make sure that I had a natural look and I didn't have any over harvesting or thinning in my back area, and then started to extract. That went on for at this point probably couldn't tell you. I'm 2 months post-op, so probably should have done a video a while back. But he started the extractions, and that took probably about 6 hours, or maybe even probably about 6 hours or so. We took a lunch break. During the lunch break, he ordered me food from a local Italian restaurant, and it was good. And it was great. It just kind of felt like a family environment because when we sat down to eat lunch, like we all sat down together. So I could also ask him some more questions. I asked more like personal questions, really about like the industry and the business, how things are going, and him being like one of probably the most notable doctors for FUE or hair transplants in general for African Americans. Like I would assume that there's a lot of people that are really trying to get in there and get an opportunity to work with him. One thing he communicated to me was that the transparency isn't really there. Like a lot of people get the procedures done and they don't communicate like their progress with people. People are more hidden about what's going on and don't want to share it. So I decided that I'd share this video all over the place right now. But the extraction was done after the lunch break. We went back in. Then they started to put some of the follicles back in place. So I had a recipient area was right here, so right in the front area, as well as in the back around the crown. So started putting hairs in, and once we passed 12 hours, I'm not gonna lie, I became a little bit antsy. Started asking some questions because my previous procedures that I had done like each day, and it probably took about 10, 12 hours, like max, and they were putting in like 1,500 hairs in each session. But the more I thought about it and the more that I realized what he explained to me, that it does take a little additional care with African American hair, making sure that you're putting it in and it has the right trajectory when you're putting the hairs in, when you're extracting, making sure that you're following the curvature of the follicle so that you're not cutting it off and essentially wasting grafts. So I looked at it as this is a different experience with a different doctor who actually is a little bit more knowledgeable about how to work with my hair. So in short, Noel, be patient. So he started to put those grafts in. We really didn't end that night until probably about 1 a.m. So we started the procedure that morning at around 9 something and about 1 a.m., which I'm thankful because clearly that's someone who's taking their time and they're not in a rush and they really value the outcome that each one of their patients has. So after that first day was a little bit, I had a pad on the back of my head. My recipient area was out, and then of course I had like the little like gauze thing that was there. Went to the hotel, took a look at everything, and then I slept. They give you like this little pad to put on your pillow so that it doesn't, like the blood and everything doesn't soak into the pillow. And I slept almost kind of like upright. I didn't want to really damage anything that was transplanted. Then I arrived the next morning. We started again the next morning at about 9 a.m. And they actually had a flight later that day. So they really went down to the wire with me. So we did the same thing on the second day. Extractions, took a lunch break. After the lunch break, came back in, started to install hairs. One of the things I really liked, again, was I had some hair follicles here that weren't the right grafts that should have been put in my previous procedure. And not only did Dr. Mwamba let me know about that, he took those hairs out and then replaced them. So I also had grafts put in along the hairline just to shore up my hairline. But he took those grafts out and he put in like the single hair fine grafts that were supposed to be there. So thank you, kudos to you, appreciate that. And Then they continue to fill in my crown area because day one was the frontal area. Started to fill in my crown area as well as filling hairs along the hairline. So I've been talking for a while. I don't do these videos often, but I want to show you what it looks like right now. And keep in mind, I'm at 2 months, so I'm in the ugly duckling phase, which means that the majority of the hairs that were transplanted have fallen out. I believe some of them are starting to grow in like a little bit because I noticed the density looks a little bit different in light, but you be the judge. So this is my hair. I have nothing in it right now. This is just the hairs it's growing in. These are the areas where Dr. Mwamba filled in, a little bit of showing up of the hairline, and I'm gonna show you my crown area. So this is my crown area. So that is, I hope you can see this. I won't know until I actually watch this video. But this is my crown area. I probably got a little bit ahead of myself because I filled in I actually faded out, excuse me, like my sides. I guess I'm trying to look pretty, I don't know. But faded out my sides. But overall, just I'd say a very good experience, very informative, answers your questions, gives you more information, things that you didn't even think about before. And it was just a great experience. I was in there for 2 days in Princeton, New Jersey, sleepy town. So it's a perfect place to not have stress and to just focus on your procedure. And then after that, went home. I followed the guidelines that he gave me as far as how to wash my hair. And another great thing was right at the Princeton location, you don't have to worry about going to a pharmacy off-site or anything else. You could fill all your prescriptions right there, literally next door in the same building. They have a pharmacy right there. So I was able to fill like the antibiotics and everything else right there. And so when I left, I had everything that I needed going forward. So that was very convenient. And I was supposed to actually film something at 1 month, which I didn't, but I'm going to include some, or you probably already saw them at this point, the pictures of what my hair looked like before I had the transplant done so that you can get a better appreciation for where I am right now. So I'm very hopeful. I plan on doing videos at 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and then 8 months, because in my experiences, around 8 months is when you're seeing what you're going to see. I'm sure there's some probably thickening and shoring up, but not really noticeable as it is within the 8 months. I hope this was helpful to you. There weren't a lot of videos like this around when I started my process and my journey with FUE and hair transplants. So I'm hoping that this is something that can benefit everyone that watches it. All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and just leave me some comments.